day.
I want to thank you for coming here this morning. Thank you for the opportunity for us to talk to the Canadian people, because that's who Shane was representing. He was representing Canada. He was fighting and working and doing his job as a soldier for Canada. So I appreciate the chance to share some of Shane. He understood and he believed in what he was there for strongly. He was going for a purpose. I believed in his purpose as well. Before he went away this summer, he was here for a while with me and we talked. We had long talks. And I'd just like to share you, and there will be just about exact quotes of what he said to me. I had actually asked him to explain sort of the political situation from the past, because he understood it so well. And he did so in simple terms for me, because that's what I needed. And then he said, "We have to do this, Mum. We have to go there. It's not just us. The world wants us to go there. The Afghan people need us and they want us to be there. If we don't do this terror and this atrocities is not going to end. We're making a difference. It's working. It's slow. You can't look at it on a daily basis. It has to be a long term, and we are." I said, I agree with what we're doing, and I happen to agree with him. But I said, I wouldn't be one to go. I wouldn't be one to be able to do that. I'd risk my life for my children, but that's as much as I could do. And he said, sure, there's risk, he said. Certainly. He said, look at the bigger picture. And Shane really looked at things in a global perspective. But he said, most of us will come home. And he said, you can't just look at the individual, because most of us will come home. And the ones who don't made a difference. And it's worth it. He actually said that. He said people have to know. Of course he thought he'd come home. Of course I hoped he'd come home. He knew he went there with all of our support. He knew I agreed with him politically and with what he was doing. I didn't need to for him to go because he was going to go. He made his choices. He was a man. He was doing what he needed to do. But I could support him with that because I did agree with him. He knew that I was so afraid for him. He's been overseas before. It's very difficult. Of course he knew that, but he knew that he had his choices. Everybody has their choices. And he made that choice. And he said, you can't look at just the one. It's worth it. And I think we have to know that it's an important thing. And everyone can have their opinions. But it is worth it. And then I have to say, nothing is worth losing a son. But everything is worth a man actually being willing to take that risk and to die for what he believes in. And that's what I have to say.
Just a few more comments to Judy's words. Those that love the world serve it in action. As we know, there's many actions, many past action. Shane Keating was a loving member of our family. He loved the world and chose to serve it as a proud member of the Canadian military. Corporal Shane Keating saw his mission and path in his life as an individual who was to support and assist those who needed it the most. Shane Keating was not a man looking for a cause, but he was a man who would never back down from a cause. The fact that Canada is here to help improve the life of small children in a country many of us only hear about, speaks to the determination of Canada as a nation to promote peace and freedom from all types of persecution. Corporal Shane firmly believed in his chosen career and served overseas on many occasions, from difficulties in Bosnia to Afghanistan. Our Shane paid the ultimate price for his willingness to go beyond the safe haven of the Canadian borders in an attempt to help other world citizens. We are certain that Shane would have preferred a longer life and time to share with his family, and he will be dearly missed by our family and other Canadian citizens. Corporal Shane Keating willingly accepted the risks and the dangers of his career. Our family firmly believes that many individuals, like the children of Afghanistan that he was befriending at the time of his death, have a better future because of his cause. Young girls, along with young boys, now go to school. Reconstruction work is happening. It's time for the Canadian nation to support our sons and daughters in harm's way, to protect, to facilitate, and plant the seed of justice and freedom in the world. Shane would not want Canada and the United Nations to pull soldiers home before the job is done. Our family agrees with Shane. Our hearts also go out to other members, family members that have, other families that have lost loved ones as well, and other injured shoulders.
Judith, I'm wondering, you've touched on this already. Do you think Canadian soldiers should come home from Afghanistan? There's a lot of talk about that.
Because of this?
Or of all the deaths?
No. I think I said that.
And how do you feel about, I guess, the debate that's largely growing in Canada about, debating whether or not the troops should be out there? How do you, clearly you support it, but how do you feel about this debate that's now brewing?
Everyone has an opinion, and our family certainly supports the troops in Afghanistan and wish them to stay. And it is not time for Canada to pull their soldiers.
Do you feel
or the United Nations?
Do you feel that Canadians know enough about what soldiers like?
An emotional news conference coming out of Saskatoon. Judith Budd speaking. She is the mother of Corporal Shane Keating, one of 4 Canadian soldiers killed in Afghanistan earlier this week by a suicide bomber. Judith Budd emphasizing that her son believed in this mission. She was quoting a conversation that her son and her had earlier this year, in which her son told her, "We have to go there. The Afghan people need us. If we don't do this, this terror won't end." We also heard from the uncle David as well.
On a day when prime ministers and presidents and world leaders are meeting in New York, talking about, amongst other things, Afghanistan, we just heard our own prime minister talking about Canada's role in Afghanistan. That just seems such an honest and literate account of what happens at the most immediate level. And to hear from the mother of a soldier, 30-year-old Shane Keating, his dad was a city police officer. His dad died about 10 years ago. Shane clearly looked into it on his own, the reasons why Canada was in Afghanistan, understood it fully himself. His mother agreed with him. So remarkable to hear, when there's been so much debate in the country, that Judith Budd and also the uncle, Mickey Keating, have their own feelings about whether or not Canada should still be there. But I think a good reminder to everyone, on a day when we hear so many politicians talking about what's going on in Afghanistan, to see it at such a personal level, it was quite remarkable.
Yep.
CBC News Today will return in just a moment.